Hey everybody. Um, hey everybody, it's the piss drunk programmer here. Today, like every other day, I'm going to be walking you through the process of how to get a big hotshot software job by going undercover anonymously through the entire process. I'm going to be recording the process, and the reason I'm making this channel is for three reasons. Number one, I think that a lot of people right now are kind of struggling to figure out how to land their next job, and the process can be kind of confusing. Number two, I'm trying to find my next job, and it's been really confusing. Number three, the reason that it is confusing is often completely on the stupidity of the hiring managers and recruiters. And to make everybody feel better about themselves, including myself, I think people really need to see what's going on because really some of the hiring managers and recruiters are completely full of shit, and it's actually kind of funny when you get to see it. So what do I mean by that? And by the way, before I continue, please like and subscribe so that I can continue to be exposing some of the stupidity that I'm seeing in the job market right now, especially in the tech screen process. That would really help me out so I can continue to help you out. Um, so, what do I mean by that? Okay, let me give you a little bit of background here. So, um, I'm an engineer. I worked at Boeing, a research and development subsidiary of Boeing. I was given process for the highest level of security clearance in the country. Um, I've been doing software for a long time. I attended UC Berkeley's Electronics Engineering Computer Science program, and if you're familiar with that, that was actually the top public university and their most competitive degree program. So, anyways, I have a big portfolio. I have a lot of interesting projects and stuff. And, I'm in between jobs right now. So, I'm looking for a new job, right? And, you know, being out of the workforce, like when you're applying for a new job, it's kind of frustrating, right? Like you have to go through a ton of applications. You have to put in a lot of time to do basically the same application over and over. Like, it's really fucking annoying. Like, let's not beat around the bush. It's really annoying. So, okay. So the way that I'm handling it right now is I'm going to get a little tipsy and then I'm going to go through the process with you guys. And I think that it might be useful to you. I've been getting interviews at Microsoft, Amazon, Facebook, Google, the FBI. But sometimes I see some stupidity that is just like, all my friends, they'll look at me and they'll say, well, you probably failed because you weren't qualified, you weren't good enough, you didn't study for the interview. And it's like, sometimes I actually see like real bullshit. And then nobody believes me. Like, they think that I'm just making it up, it's my fault, I'm just whining, things like that. And it's like, oh my god, like, okay, let me get into that. Okay, so I applied to Microsoft, right? And then in the interview, they always ask you, what programming language do you want to do the interview in? And, usually people will say Python or Java, right? Like Python, it's a really easy language to learn. It's good for a lot of tasks, things like that, right? But I was doing, like in the past, I've done a lot of embedded work, right? So I said C, right? C, the C programming language. I don't know if you're familiar with C, but C is a language that is used with a lot of older technology, hardware, low level programming work. And it's very difficult for a lot of people to learn because it's very syntax heavy. Like things have to be absolutely perfect when you type it out. Like you think, oh, okay, so if I know C, then that looks good on me, right? You'd be wrong. You'd be fucking wrong. And the reason is because just because I can do it doesn't mean the hiring manager can do it, right? But of course, like that shouldn't matter because that would look bad on the hiring manager. That would look good on you. That's what you would think, right? You'd be fucking wrong. And this is just one example of many that I would like to share on this channel with you guys. Hopefully, to make you feel better about yourself because sometimes I see people struggling to get a job. They want to blame themselves, and oftentimes, like we have a lot of stupid hiring managers. like to feel superior. So this is one example, right? So I go into the interview and, they want to give me this hard problem. They want me to be basically flipping bits in the C programming language. So like in the C programming language, there's a lot of like memory management. Like you have to like set memory blocks and things like that. They use pointers. Everybody hates pointers because it's fucking stupid. Unless you're making a compiler or something like an optimizing compiler, which nobody does unless like you're, I don't know, like nobody fucking does it. So it's stupid. So okay, so you know, so I do it. I was flipping bits in the C programming language, using all like the obscure little syntactical bullshit that you have to do that. And then guess what? The hiring manager doesn't even know how to do it. The hiring manager doesn't know how many bits are allocated to any kind of data type. He's trying to look it up and it turns out he's wrong. So he doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. Like I have the correct solution, right? Like I have like what I'm supposed to be doing. And then he's looking at it. He's like, "Oh, I think it's wrong." And then we spend like a bunch of fucking time trying to change code there's no problem with it. And then we run out of time. And then, guess what? Guess who doesn't get hired? Me. And during the interview, I'm not talking like this. I'm very polite with people. I'm very straightforward. Just trying to work with him, trying to sound nice. And then, when we run out of time, he gives me that stupid little response at the end, like, "Oh well, you know, uh, we'll let you know with the next steps if we decide on it." All that kind of stuff. In my head, I'm thinking, "Oh yeah, I'm sure you'll tell me what the next steps are." Okay, because I heard this before. I didn't fucking hear anything. And then after like 2 weeks, I get an email and it says, "Oh, well, we're sorry. We found a better candidate that matches our needs at this time." So we have one example of a shit ton of examples that I really want to explore with you guys. And I'm going to be starting to film this in real time because I'm getting really tired of it. Like, I am a qualified person. I've done a lot of projects. I've used a lot of different things on different parts of the tech stack. I've worked at a Fortune 500 company. I've been given process to, um, the highest level of security clearance in the country. I studied at the world's top public university. You'd think that the hiring man, and by the way, I have a portfolio too I share with them. You'd think that, when you successfully accomplish a task during a tech screen, all of that would get you a job. It's not fucking the case. There's something going on, and I think that just watching this channel, like you've probably been struggling a little bit yourself, right? Like you have something that you can't figure out. Like why can't you pass the tech screen? So we are going to figure this out together because I need to be getting my next job. You need to be getting your next job, and we're just gonna plow through the bullshit and kind of laugh at the stupidity along the way because really like there is a lot of stupid shit that I am seeing. Like, oh my god, like get this, okay? So this is another example, and I'll put some screenshots of this on the screen. So I was applying to Rockwell Collins, and I'm not sure if you know what Rockwell Collins is, but it's a company. It's an aerospace defense company, right? And it's headquartered, I believe, in the Midwest. And I was in the Midwest when I was applying for it. So, I was putting my application in, doing a ton of applications, like always. I put my resume in, but then the resume isn't good enough. Like, I have to like retype everything that's on my resume for some reason. Like, they can't just fucking read it. Um, you know, you've done it. It's fucking dumb. But okay, so I do it, and then I guess I'm fortunate that I'm kind of doing this anonymously because I'm just gonna rip into people at this point because it is really stupid. So at Rockwell Collins, first of all, they say they're gonna pick me up for an interview. Then they don't pick me up, and then because I missed the interview, and the rental car never showed up that was supposed to come to the address that I was at, they just dropped me from consideration for the position. Okay. Well, that was just the beginning. That was just the tip of the iceberg. And really, a lot of these people know they can get away with it because, people who are just out of school, new applicants, young people, they have no power in anything, especially that was previously allotted to previous generations, like the baby boomer generation. Millennials, I heard they have 2% of the wealth and income in the United States, whereas baby boomers had a third of the wealth and income in the United States at the same age, and millennials are actually way more educated. But we'll just put that aside. Okay, let's give them the benefit of the doubt, right? So, I'm trying to like give them the benefit of the doubt. So I applied for another position, and this is a cybersecurity position. They fly me to Virginia. That's very nice of them. They give me a hotel, things like that. And then this lady, who's actually a member of the intelligence community, I don't know if I should put her name. Uh, yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't know if I'll be that mean. I won't mention her name. I just maybe I will at some point, but I don't know. We'll see how this goes. But okay, so this lady, she's a member of the intelligence community, and she's also a member of a congressman's family. Okay, so she's interviewing me. Things are going pretty well. I'm able to competently speak on behalf of all the questions that she's posing to me. But then what's very weird is that at the end of the interview, we went out to dinner, and it was almost like a date, right? And during the initial call, she was asking me very strange questions. Like, she asked me things like, "Do you consider yourself to be a rebellious person?" And I'm thinking to myself, okay, this is somebody who's in the intelligence community interviewing me for a defense role at a defense contractor, and she's asking me this on the phone, and I'm thinking, okay, well, how do I respond to this? Like, what would you tell somebody? I tried to come up with a creative answer. My answer was, I don't consider myself a rebellious person, but I like to find creative solutions to problems. So it kind of bypasses, any sort of potential issue you could have with an answer, right? Like, you don't want to come across as like a rebel, like who's just going to break rules and stuff unnecessarily, but then, you can like kind of get around problems in a creative way that doesn't break the rules. So I thought that was a pretty smart idea. And, it was like, I don't know, like it almost is like she wanted me to be a rebellious person. Like she wanted me to be the kind of person that would like break the rules. And that's understandable to a certain degree, right? Like you don't want somebody that's a little robot that just takes orders, but I think there was some kind of extra element to it, which may have been like romantic or something. And really, like, I'm not knocking her for that because I think that, people are humans. They really do need validation in that domain of experience as well. And, that includes me too. And, I think that she was a pretty reasonably attractive person. So I'm not trying to say that I wouldn't have done something, but I'm just thinking from the perspective of, okay, I'm trying to find a job, right? Like, first and foremost, I think that, that's important, right? Um, so anyways, so we went out to dinner. It was sort of like a date. And she knew a little bit about my history, which was kind of weird. Like, I have this surname in my family. We don't know, like, my family doesn't know where it came from. We knew it was British, but we didn't know where in Britain it was actually from. But then, like, she knew. Like, it was so bizarre because, we were trying to find out for a long time, and she's like, well, it's Welsh. And I'm like, wow, like, she knows more about me than I know about myself, right? Uh, but I don't know. Like, I was talking about technical stuff most of the time, because I was thinking that the whole interview was about, like, me knowing technical skills because it was a technical position, right? But this is kind of what I'm trying to say in this channel, in a very tipsy way, is that, sometimes, like, what you're supposed to know, and you're the totally a qualified person, but, there's also like a weird element to interviews that has nothing to do with you, and sometimes it's also just the stupidity. Actually, most of the time, it's probably the stupidity of the hiring managers, and this is an example of that. So this lady, I'm very flattered that she possibly could have liked me in that way, but just being somebody who was like basically living in my car at the time, I think that would have probably taken precedent at that point was getting the job. But she said that I wasn't qualified. Like, I got the little, like, after you do the interview, you get a little email, a little bit later that says, "Oh, we're sorry, we found a better candidate," or like your qualifications were good, but they weren't good enough. But in a nice, they say it in a nicer way than that. But it's bullshit. But that they're actually saying that, but they don't want to say it directly. But yeah, I mean, so what was very weird about this is later that year I got a job at Boeing, and one of the people I was working with, like he knew this lady, they used to work together. And then I found out that later that year she was fired on corruption. So okay, so get this. I wasn't qualified, right? But apparently she was actually the one that wasn't qualified. and, I, and it's like I'm laughing, but it's like um, like then I look on like their website, right? and, and and it really brings like a whole new meaning to like the email that I got because because um because it says we found a candidate that although you were competitive, we found a candidate that better fits our needs at this time, and it lists Bud Light as an employee. and this and this is what I'm talking about. Like this is why I feel like creating this YouTube channel is is now a public service obligation because I feel like we have a lot of like dejected people who are like stuck in the little merry-go-round of like applying for jobs over and over and nothing's coming up. And they all assume like it's a problem with them, right? Like they assume, there's something wrong. I'm not very good at coding. I suck. Why can't I focus on learning? Like, well, no, I mean, it's not usually you. It's like really like we have an entitled older generation that's basically enslaving millennials and Gen Z. Nobody wants to say it because if somebody says it, then they're not going to get a job. But it's okay because I'm kind of anonymous right now, right? But yeah, like we have a lot of dejected young people, and they all think, oh well, the hiring manager, like, he's superior or she is superior to me, and I just suck, and I'm not good enough. I'm not trying hard enough. No, it's fucking stupid. And this is, I've given you two examples. I'm gonna go into a bunch more, but you know, so hopefully that gives you a little bit more confidence because like some of the stuff I'm seeing, like, fucking, are you serious? Like, okay, let me go to a third example for you. So, I was working at a startup in the Midwest in Iowa and in Ames, Iowa. This is actually the city of Iowa State University. They have a big university there, and I enjoyed the town, but it's too fucking cold there. Um, but okay, so at this town, uh, I brought my Geiger counter, and I think you may know, if you know what a Geiger counter is, you might be like, what the fuck? Like, where is he going with this story, right? It might be a little bit concerning because a Geiger counter is used to detect radiation. Like the stuff that like freaking mutates people and gives people cancer and kills people and like was involved with the fucking atomic weapons and shit. You know what it is. Okay, so a Geiger counter, it's a little machine that and forgive me, like I can be more technical here, but I again, like I'm a little tipsy, just so I can get through this. But I started hearing it clicking. Right, my boss, my manager at the time, like he was playing with it and he accidentally left it on in my office, and it was clicking. It was like, a little bit more than I was used to. Right, not that much, but it was clicking. So I was like, oh, maybe it's a glitch, right? Like maybe like the battery is just like, I don't know, like there's some weird circuit shit. Like at the time I was doing electronics work and also like firmware type stuff, and so I was kind of in that mode of thinking, oh, well, there's like some kind of circuit issue or like electrical failure, but I couldn't find any. So I was like, okay, so let me get this in my car. I'm gonna drive around town and find out where the source is. Like I'm finding like where there's a lot of clicks, right? So like I drive to the campus, and it's like it just gets more and more, and I'm like, oh shit, like there's something that's active here. There's some kind of like nuclear waste or nuclear fallout or material or some shit like that. And I got into atomic technologies because I was raised in a town called Simi Valley, and in Simi Valley, that's actually the site of the worst nuclear disaster in U.S. history, the Santa Susana Field Laboratory experiment. They had a sodium reactor that had a big meltdown, and it released more radiation than 3 Mile Island meltdown. So I had a kind of fascination with nuclear technology. So I had a Geiger counter. I was doing a lot of like stuff like that. But anyways, so getting back to the story here. Yeah, so it's clicking a shit ton. Like I'm on campus on foot, like walking around. I get out of my car, and then all of a sudden, I find and I'm in this kind of like agricultural area because it's an agricultural school, and it's like clicking more and more and more, and then it's like going off the charts, like off the fucking charts, and I'll include a recording of that in the video too. Like holy shit, what's going on? You know, it turns out, in the town, they have a lot of work, defense contractors. They're not exactly the most responsible kind of people. I'll just leave it at that. I'll just leave it at that. I try to call the police and have them look into it, but they kind of just slowly carted me away. So yeah, okay, so I'm not qualified, right? Okay, yeah. Also at Rockwell Collins, somebody told me that they're stripping missile fuselages to minivans and transporting them across public highways. That's kind of questionable too. But let's give them the benefit of the doubt. Maybe I was just not qualified. Maybe I wasn't good enough, but let's see what other people are saying, right? Let's just take a look at that. And yeah, there's quite a bit of negativity that people have with them. And, I feel like if a lot of people are saying something that's similar, it might be true, right? Like, I don't know. Like, people always tell me, well, I don't know if you're having a lot of problems, like, applying for jobs, like, maybe there's something wrong with you, right? I mean, so maybe if I just reflect that right back, let's take a look. Is there any problem on the other end? Because in software, we always want to look at if there's a problem in software, like is there a problem with the front end or the back end, right? So the back end, I think, is pretty good. There might be a fucking problem with the front end, and I'm seeing a lot of evidence of that right now. So, anyways, yeah. So thanks so much for watching. I'm gonna be making a lot more of these videos, and I do have a lot more stories that I'd like to share because. I am getting kind of concerned. We have a lot of young people that have very low self-esteem because they've been socially alienating, or sorry, socially isolating, same fucking thing for a long time, and they don't really have that validation and behavioral feedback that they need, and yet at the same time they're also bombarded with a bunch of like older boomers telling them that there's something wrong with them when they're applying for jobs, that they're being rejected over and over. They internalize that and they think it's their fault when it's fucking not. So I just want to clarify that for everybody, with proof and evidence. And also, like, I don't want to just make this a rant channel, right? Like, that's going to be a part of it, but I legit like want to help people like get a good job, like we're going to go through the whole process. We're going to go from the ground up, and we're going to get you a fucking great job. We're going to do it together, and we're going to have a good time, and I'm going to be tipsy. There's something called what was it called? It's something peak. There's like a peak level of blood alcohol that actually, your performance programming and with tech actually increases, and then beyond that it decreases. Oh, Balmer's peak. It's called the Balmer's peak. So basically, if you drink a little bit of alcohol, like you will actually do better when you're programming, and your creativity will be increased. But don't drink too much because then it will go down. So I think I'm at that peak right now, and we're gonna do it together. Okay, gonna be a great time, and we're gonna get a freaking amazing job right now. Okay.